Happy Friday, everyone. We are here, and it is the weekend before 4th of July. As we like to call it around here, the original Brexit. No, okay. As you can see, we have fun things on our set. Flags, freedom balls, glasses, all the good stuff. But we are going to talk today about all things 4th of July. That's fireworks, alcohol, and your neighbors. And those are probably the most important ones. A couple rules and regulations, just so everyone is aware. And if you go and have too much fun, you know exactly what you're doing or what you should have done.
Yep.
I'm Brandy Austin, and this is
Larry Mike.
And we're from the Brandy Austin Law firm. This is Disclosure Live with Brandy Austin Law. So let's just jump right into it.
Yes.
Fireworks.
I love them. They're awesome. Fireworks are amazing devices that simulate explosions. Kids love them. We have fireworks all throughout the year for special occasions, but when it comes to 4th of July, that's when you get the majority of your fireworks sales.
Yeah, the fireworks stands open up on the 4th of July, and they open up New Year's. I know because there's one near my house. In fact, there's like 50. Not too far from my house. Because, why do you think? It's the unincorporated area.
Yes.
You cannot have fireworks within so many feet, I think. Yes, 5,000 feet of certain cities or 2,000 feet, within 2,000 feet of the city limits of Arlington, 5,000 for Mansfield, Fort Worth, and some of the other ones. So you can purchase your fireworks, but keep them out of the city. So, you know, you can get fined or arrested or whatever the cops feel like. And if you have alcohol, that's just another thing on top of it. But why do you think the city says no fireworks within the limits?
Well, the major thing is fires.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fireworks can cause fires within
Get
city
out of
limits.
town.
Yeah, you know, right? No, some people don't believe that. But, you know, within town, you've got houses, you've got trees, you've got brushes, you've got certain things that can be destroyed if people are careless with fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there are a lot of fireworks that fly up into the sky, explode, and things can come down. So that's one of the major things. They're trying to make sure that everyone is safe when it comes to using these sorts of devices.
Well, and also, fireworks are responsible for 30% of all injuries on the 4th of July. That's a lot of injuries, people. And if you're at home, which a lot of people do enjoy backyard barbecues, things like that, they're at home. If you live within the city limits, then you can't have fireworks, and so you're less likely to be injured, less of a cost on the city with the ambulance and hospital and all that stuff.
Yes.
But we're going to go over a few safety rules. Since you're here, we would like you to be safe. I will say, you know, personal injury cases do happen from fireworks. You've got manufacturer of the actual fireworks. You got the person who purchased the fireworks, the house that they're at, the business, wherever they're at, assuming they're legally setting them off, right?
Yes.
Or lighting them. But, you know, personal injuries do happen. Please be safe. So let's go over some safety tips for everyone.
So for some safety tips, number one thing when it comes to fireworks is you want to read the instructions. It depends on if they come with instructions.
I mean, I think it says just light here, right?
Just light and let it go. But instructions are important. There are several different types of fireworks. You got your sparklers, you got your little smoke bombs, you got the things that turn into snakes. You even got the ones that fly up in the air. So
Roman candles, right?
Right. And your M80s and all the great stuff. But what you need to make sure is if there are instructions involved, read the instructions and do exactly what the instructions say. A lot of times during this time of year, you see people who just go crazy with them. I've seen videos where people tie them to each other's shoes, light them in the house, dangerous stuff. So first thing, read the instructions. The next thing you want to make sure that you have is either a fire extinguisher or a bucket of water nearby. Because we're talking about something that explodes or has some type of pyrotechnic component.
Right.
You want to make sure that you have something there to put that fire out. The next thing that you want to do is you don't want to allow your children to use the fireworks.
And this comes into play a lot with sparklers.
Oh,
but
yes.
people don't realize that sparklers are super, super hot.
They are.
Right? Isn't it phosphorus or something that's actually burning? It's some
some chemical component that can burn.
Right, and so it's hotter than your average fire, and that can get out of control for a child if they touch their arm, or lots of things can just shoot up and go, or like explode into fire. And while an adult may be able to recover, a child can't.
Exactly.
So keep them away from children.
Yeah. Another thing that should be just common sense is don't set off the fireworks in the house.
Oh, come on. What's the fun in that?
I know, right? I mean, they're funny videos, but...
don't make those videos.
Yeah, don't be the one to make those videos, because, your stuff can get set on fire. So do those types of activities outside, away from cars, away from buildings, just out in a field somewhere where you're able to just not harm anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one important rule when it comes to dud fireworks that don't light off when you light it, is to not touch a dud. Don't try to relight it. I mean, there's this saying, don't relight a dud or else it's going to blow up in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I just made that up. But,
it's true.
It's true.
And I get duds in every single collection of fireworks I purchase every year.
Oh, yeah.
Always a dud somewhere.
So don't relight them, soak them in water, and then dispose of them properly.
All right, let's move on to alcohol. So it's technically called a no refusal weekend. We'll get into that. But what do you think people should do this weekend if they're drinking?
Well, the number one thing that you should do is you should drink responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, celebrating and alcohol gets involved. Yeah, have a good time. Enjoy Independence Day. But with drinking, you need to make sure that you're responsible. You're an adult. So the number one thing, don't drive when you drink.
Nope.
I mean, we've got so many options out there. Not only do we have taxis, but we've got Lyft, you've got Uber, you've got designated drivers.
You got your BFF, or you got your mom, or your dad, or if you don't have family, I'm pretty sure pretty much anyone will come and get you this weekend.
Exactly.
Because it is dangerous. Lots of people drink. And it's not just the weekend, because I think July 4th is on a Tuesday, which means people are going to party from Friday night to Tuesday night. So
yes, sir.
That's a lot of alcohol and a lot of risk. Okay, so let's talk about no refusal weekend. I spoke with our criminal attorney, Jennifer, just before I came in here and asked her thoughts. It's important to know. How much do you think a DUI costs people out of pocket if they get one, just an average person?
Ooh, I don't know, $10,000?
It's about $10,000 to $12,000 in costs and fees and fines. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Do you know how much Uber costs?
Maybe like $10?
Yeah, it's like $20.
$20?
When's the last time you took an Uber?
Yeah, other people pay for them.
Oh. Fancy. Hunter is telling me something. I have no idea what he's saying.
Speak louder. He's saying speak louder.
No, it can go up from there, but it's still less than $10,000.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
You drive for Uber.
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's right. We have our own in-house Uber driver. Yes, so it can go. It's like $10 and it goes up from there. Right?
Still cheaper than a...
Still cheaper than the $10,000 to $12,000.
The most I've seen on a really busy weekend is probably like a 3-time surge, but that's not
bad.
That's not bad. It's like it'll cost
Not
you
bad
like
at all.
10 miles, like $30.
Still cheaper than $10,000 to $12,000.
Exactly.
Okay, so what did she suggest if you get pulled over? She said be polite, right? I mean, isn't that common sense?
Yeah, it is common sense. Be polite.
What happens when you're not nice to police officers?
Ooh, they tend to get really pushy.
That's right. So it's a no refusal weekend. Now, what does no refusal actually mean? Okay, so it's important to note you can always refuse a field sobriety test. They're subjective. So there's no chemical test of any sort that goes with a field sobriety test. You basically just stand there and do what they tell you to, and if they think you're not doing it right, then you can be just designated as not sober. So it's not subjective. Breathalyzers. Breathalyzers, they're less, I would say, less reliable than a blood test. You can always say you don't want to take the breathalyzer, and then they're automatically going to take you to get your blood drawn. And this happens whether it's no refusal or weekend or not. No refusal is just something they come up to scare people, I think, personally. But so you will get a blood test. A blood test usually happens a couple hours later. They have to get a warrant because they are taking blood from your person. So, it's up to you to make the decision whether taking the breathalyzer, which happens to be less reliable, but happens right then, or asking for a blood test a couple hours later would be beneficial. Which one would you prefer to do in your situation? Only you can make that decision. But you can always ask for an attorney. I mean, after all of this, because they're still allowed to do all that. Okay, so at the end of the day, we think that 1, don't take the field sobriety test. 2, make the decision between breathalyzer and blood test. 3, be polite, and ultimately you should what?
Not drink and drive.
That's right. We can avoid all of this. If you find yourself in a position where you need our services, give us a call. Okay, so let's talk about your neighbors, and this is an important one that I think people sometimes forget. So we're going to talk about it. Larry, what about our neighbors?
So your neighbors, in this day and age, I mean, when we're talking about for the past few years, you have a lot of veterans that are returning back home from war. So you've got PTSD symptoms out there. You've got people who've been diagnosed with PTSD. And on holidays like this, with all the explosions, it tends to send people back to thinking that they're reliving those moments. So if you have a neighbor that is a veteran, you want to be aware that setting off fireworks within that vicinity may trigger something. So just out of honor and respect for your neighbors, if you're going to do that, figure out if your neighbor is a veteran or is someone who has experienced some sort of traumatic event that may be affected by that, and possibly take that somewhere else.
So if you are considering doing this and you do live in an area where you're allowed to do it at your house, set off fireworks, maybe just go talk to your neighbors. Likely whether your neighbors are a veteran or veterans.
Definitely.
But if you don't, I think this is a great opportunity to take some cupcakes or something over and get to know your neighbors and say, hey, I was thinking about setting off some fireworks this weekend. Do you see any reason why I shouldn't, or do you have a problem with it? And it's not just people. Pets sometimes freak out from fireworks. They're loud. Children. I have a baby, and babies don't like fireworks very much. It's okay, but I wouldn't say no because of it. But it's always a good idea to just check in.
Yeah, definitely.
Be a good community helper, as my daughter likes to say. So let's talk about some of the symptoms. Let's say that maybe you have another neighbor that's not quite as nice as you are and did not ask ahead of time. What are some symptoms you can look out for your neighbors?
Well, with people who have some type of PTSD, it'll trigger like a fight or flight event. There may be some aggressive symptoms. They may even go into, when I talked about reliving the moments, I've read stories of veterans who, when the fireworks went off, they're thinking that people are coming. So they're calling the police. They've got whatever they need to protect themselves until they realize, it's not happening again. So you get someone who's agitated or showing aggressive symptoms or even fearful symptoms. Those may be things to look out for.
It's like a hyper-arousal state,
yes,
right?
Very hyper-arousal.
Okay, and it's not just the sounds. It can be the lights and the flashes too,
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
So if you are considering having a light show of some sort, just be mindful of where your lights are flashing, and just check in. Just check in. And if you see someone that's reacting to fireworks or light flashes, what's the best thing to do?
You want to get them out of that situation.
And if they're unable to be approached?
Well, then you want to move yourself, avoid that situation, and get out the area.
And call 911 to allow some professional people to come in and help. It doesn't mean they're in trouble. It doesn't mean they're going to jail. They're not going to jail. It just means that some medical professionals who are trained to understand, and I'm sure they've had briefings, especially on holiday weekends.
Right.
They're trained to understand what they're seeing and how to de-escalate the situation. Right?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We talked today a little bit about the original Brexit. Is it still funny? No. Okay.
I think it's funny.
All right. And our freedom balls?
Yeah, freedom
No.
balls are funny.
I don't know. Okay, so we talked about fireworks, limiting where you can set them off, injuries caused by fireworks, and we went over some safety tips. Drinking and driving, don't do it. There are apps for that, people, services, 100 different things. Don't get those charges. And watching out for your neighbors, PTSD, both for veterans and for pets or even small children, light flashes, all sorts of things. If you have any questions about any of what we talked about today, feel free to give us a call. It's still a few days away. You can give us a call. We'll get the message and respond to you. If you need any help, legal or otherwise, we'll be happy to do so. Give us a call, 817-841-9906. Check out our website, www.brandyaustinlaw.com. That is Brandy like the wine, Austin like the city, law is in what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. July is going to be legislative month. I know everyone is super excited about the Supreme Court, but we usually get a lot of new cases released, which means new law, and so we're going to talk about that. If we don't get anything exciting, we'll talk about Texas legislation, but we will see you next month. Bye. Freedom Falls.
You said that multiple times.
Well, it's okay. They'll get this at the end. These are just our snippet.